Restaurant point of sales Windows Form project installation process. First, we have to install all prerequisite. In this application, if you want to run this application, you have to install first is .NET Framework 4.5 or Alpha version. Step 1 to 4 is the free installations. You can skip if you had already installed. Download and install .NET Framework 4.5 or Alpha version. If you have a Visual Studio 2013, I think you don't need to install .NET Framework 4.5. 2013 Visual Studio and Alpha version is already included .NET Framework 4.5. And next, if you don't have a SQL Server, you have to install a SQL Server. You will find this documentation from your source code. This is the source code. This is the installation documentations. You can see the video tutorials how to install a SQL Server. In this documentations installation process, here you will see only a screenshot how to install SQL Server. If you don't have a SQL Server, please install SQL Server 2008 or Alpha versions. First, you have to follow step by step. We recommend try to install SQL Server with SQL authentications. Select all as recommended. And here the SQL Server instance name. And select SQL Server, mix mode SQL Server authentications and Windows authentications. This one support SQL Server, Windows authentications and SQL Server authentications. In this case, you have to insert a password, confirm password, and don't forget to remember this password and add the current user of this your PC. And go to next process and try to install and finish. After successfully finish, you will ask user ID and password to log in this system. Next process is try to install SQL Server, which is you can download, give a link, or you will get it's better options to try to download SQL Server versions report viewer Winform. Actually this one. If you don't have another ways, you can install using Visual Studio 2013 or upper versions from the NuGet installer. Exactly, you have to follow like right click on your NuGet package and install report viewer. Another way is if you face this kind of error, Microsoft.SQL Server.type versions 11, you can also follow these instructions. Right click and NuGet package, right click on NuGet, and this is two different. Remember, Microsoft SQL Server.net types and SQL Server report viewer Winform, two different error. Report viewer installation error, another is SQL Server .types error. So follow these instructions to remove those kind of error if you face. And install mscert.exe file for the cert. It's pie chart, bar chart. So download this one and install to remove the pie chart. And next process is how to open the software with Visual Studio 2013. Here is the picture, or you can open this right if you have a Visual Studio, or open and select this one solutions, or you can directly open using the CS project. So you have a two option to install restaurant point of sale system. First, you cannot log in before successfully set up database. Now you have SQL Server database installed. If you know how to install and import SQL Server, that is okay. But if you don't know how to import SQL Server, skip into SQL Server. So please click this link, or I'll show you later in this video. You can set up database using this link. So here is the screenshot. Main difficulty is SQL Server authentication mode or Windows authentication mode. Especially SQL Server authentication, in these authentications is require user ID and password. Windows authentication doesn't need user ID and password. Both cases you have to add, you require to add the data source. So those are different kind of data source because of the different types of SQL Server. And press test connections. If successfully connection is okay, you redirect to create database, and do not change the database name, and then press setup, and right away you will, if everything's okay, you will get this kind of message. So this is the database. If you create an import, you can escape if you create database and import SQL script. And next one is we can import data. It's very easy. First you have to open SQL Server and then right click. I already created a restaurant POS database, but if you don't have database, you can create database, and do not forget to give this database name. This is exactly you have to add when you create database. So I already created database, that's why I don't want to create new one, and it's not possible to duplicate, so it's already created. Okay, so right click and new query. Okay, and then you have a database script, so you have to open with notepad. Here is a notepad. So I have another one is a scintilla. This is the good tools. So just select all, copy, and then paste here and press execute button. Right away you will see all database. Refresh and you will see all database. So that's it only. This is the database installation process. Okay. Next step is you have to configure your configuration file. So open Visual Studio. First open your project with the Visual Studio. I think your skills C# developer, so you know how to open Visual Studio project, but if you don't know, just follow this way to open Visual Studio, this project with the Visual Studio. So here is the open project. See here, this is the restaurant point of sales Winform. So just click here. One thing, three options you have to change. First one is the data source. You don't need to change, this is the database name, but you should change your user ID and password. This is my user ID, local database user ID and password. A lot of people, they ask if I want to use with a cloud server. In that case, what I have to do? In this case, you have to change your data source name. Most of the time, data source name is IP address, and rest of things you have to change your data cloud server user ID and password. This is another example. This is another is a connection strings name. You can directly also change your connection strings name here. Look at that here. This is the connection strings. So there are all example. You can directly change it, but I will not recommend to change it here, because if you change, you have to in future, if you change your data source name, you have to recompile again. That is very hassle. So this is the good way to compile anyone. If you update or whatever, or if you change your database server or cloud server, just you have to change only configuration file, and then why you will change after. This is the next way. And another way is the Windows. If you have Windows authentication, your SQL server, you have to add this exactly this way in here. If you are using SQL Server authentications, you just follow this example. Those example you will see also in database script file here. There is Windows authentications, another one is SQL authentications. So later when you compile, you can use those files. But before, you have to change and then press build the solution, so it's automatically compiled to your bin folder. This is where you will get the exe file. So just right click here, bin folder, open folder explorer locations, click here. This is actually your, without creating exe file, you can use this folder and you can provide to your client right away, they can use. So one thing just you have to change here. This is the configuration. Don't confuse with this one. This is the configuration file. Look at the type here. This is the configuration file. So right click and open, and then you can change anytime, but compile time you have to change only here. Whatever you change, it automatically reflect, it automatically changes in your compilation file. But after, when you give it to your client, anytime you can change this file. You can change the data source name, database name, or user ID and password. So this is very flexible way. Anytime without compilation you can change anytime. So that's it. And then right away you can run this applications. Here's another example how to create exe file, but this is not exact example of this application. There is another project applications examples to create, but this the exactly you have. If you follow exact, you can successfully build exe file, set up exe file. And another here, this application employee can apply leave a lot of resources. That's why you also build here holiday calendar. Okay, so now we are ready to log in. Here are two types of login. Before login, we can show here, see here the link. After successfully you set up, you will not see this link again and again. Here, this is the test is success. We select here, this is also connection success, and then next, and automatically this one create, and then only you have to follow after successfully. You have to follow this configurations, file configuration. So login, and then we can enjoy our software. So first we can do one transactions in this installation process. So this is the success. You can add the source options. So you have to add a payment. So your source options. This one you will find it here. This is the kitchen display. So thank you. I hope you get the better solutions. You enjoy and browse all feature functions. And let me know if you face any difficulty in this installation process. Thank you very much.